does not allow my hand to do this, because the goal is you're going to put the ball of clay here, center it, and pull. If the ball is not centered, that's going to cause problems. So that's why it's important. Like the brick is not necessary. That's just what I like to do. Any questions so far? Making sense, everyone? If it doesn't, say it now. Okay, so there's many different wheels over spanning different generations of wheels. But first thing is to turn it on. Actually, scratch that. First word advice, look at the pedal. Make sure it's on the off position, because if it's on the on position and you turn it on, it's just gonna start going as fast as it can. And if you already have your stuff on there, it's not gonna be a pretty sight. Okay, so mine's off, there's that.
So you throw without a bat?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look on the shelf here, there are these things called bats. I myself, I've never been the professional thrower, so I never started using them myself. But if you were to throw today, and let's just say you're not done throwing it or you're not done working on it, then you would throw on a bat. So you could take the bat off, put it on your shelf, leave it there, come back at a later time and continue working on it. There are these holes. Yep, there we go. That Sonia has a bat. On the wheel itself, there are 2 holes that pins fit into. The bat fits on top into the pins. And so no matter how you put it on there, it will fit into those pins and it'll be exactly where it was when you finished last. Does that make sense? I would say for y'all, don't worry about doing the bat. It's a little bit too complicated. I'm gonna be I don't expect y'all throwing any masterpieces today. So it's just get your hands get a little familiar with it. Okay, so you have the ball first. I just started doing it first. And then now it's me getting situated to make sure that this is how I actually
What's the weight? 3 pounds?
3 pounds. Yeah, actually, I think this was 3, this is 4. Okay, where am I going? And when you're throwing, you do not want to sit afar. You basically want to be on top of it. And so then I'll do that. And so now, oops, see, okay. First part's kind of hard. So that's kind of it, but so what I'm doing is I have this hand here pushing in, and then I have my hand here as pushing down. And so even then you can see it wobble, that's not centered. So you can start slow, go fast. The other trick will be when you're stopping and going, you want to ease off, coming off, and ease coming back on. Because if I just were to ram into this, then you're gonna throw it off center and start all over. So I'm just gonna take a gander and see. I don't think this is perfect. But I think for today's purposes, I'm gonna say that's centered. I'm not the best at throwing myself. Okay, let's just go give one more go and just see. And you know what, I totally skipped the part. I didn't show you what I have. Okay, so have a bucket of water. Water is your friend. You do not want to throw without water because it will not be a pleasant experience for your hands. Other tool I have on here is your needle tool. And then I have a variety of ribs. So in your basic toolkit, this is what should be included. You can go to Trinity. They sell these nicer ribs. Each color represents a hardness, and so they offer different flexibility. And I think, yeah, and then just have different switches. Okay, so, yeah, it's already on. We're gonna call that done. Okay. So I'll tell you what I've learned for myself is that Some throwers, so like my hand is here on the table, that's not necessarily the best. To keep it off the table and push it, if that makes sense.
So do you hold it up and down?
I don't, but some people do. Okay, so let's just say this is centered. So your next order of business is to make a hole. And so I just use both my thumbs and dig in. You want to make sure that this stays wet, because if your finger catches on it, then it can cause problems. Okay, so then you'll just push down until you think you're reached the part you're done with. And so when you're throwing, so I've made a tunnel or a hole in it essentially. You do not want to throw all the way down to the bottom. You want to leave a good amount of thickness at the bottom. You do not want to throw it too thin, because when you're throwing, let's just say you're going to throw yourself a bowl. What happens is, let's just say I'm done, I'm going to cut it off. I'll let it dry, come back, flip it upside down, get one of the trimming tools that, like, you can look here, and there's trimming tools here, and you carve into the bottom to make that look pretty. If the bottom is too thin to begin with, then you can easily carve a hole into it. So it's better to leave a thick bottom, because you can always trim that away later. Okay, makes sense so far? Okay, so the way you test the thickness is you get your needle tool, get it dirty, and you press it in. And so by the looks of it, I think it's about, let's do that again. There we go. Okay, that didn't really work either. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so it's about that thick. So that's a pretty good amount. That's like what? An inch. Okay. So now I'm gonna get 2 fingers, come to the bottom, and just bring them towards me. This is me building the floor. And so I'm just pushing in. So the tunnel goes like this. And so what I'm doing is that. So now it's flat on the bottom, and then it kind of curves in. And so that's what determines the circumference of the piece, I guess, if that's what you want to say, but it determines the shape of the bottom. And so I'm gonna say that's done. So now it's gonna be for the fun part, and pulling the clay up. So you have all the clay from the floor up that you can basically push inward and pull up. And then you even have the clay down here that you can essentially pull up as well. Your goal is you don't want there to be any excess clay anywhere. That would be the ideal. The idea is not to be at the wheel tomorrow spending time carving it and like trimming it to make it even. If you can throw it even, then that makes your trimming process simpler. Does that make sense? Okay. So now what I'm gonna do is I have one hand like this on my outside, looks like this. I'm gonna have 2 fingers. If you just have 1 finger, so basically you're using the force, the pressure. So you're putting pressure and doing this to make the clay come into a uniform wall. If you use 1 finger, then this one's not as sturdy as 2 fingers. And so I'm just gonna come in here, come on the outside, and just pull. It's not gonna be pretty, it's a process. And I'll get it re-wet, and then I'll just do it again. Bring it up. Okay. I'm a very messy thrower. Oh, the other forewarning, if you're wearing jewelry, do not wear jewelry and do this. Yeah.
And fingernails too.
Fingernails can be your worst enemy, especially when you're trying to make a perfect shape. Your fingernail can just dig right into that. So it's not too serious now, but I'll just go ahead and show you. So on the top, if your top is getting, the word coming to mind is wobbly, but ununiform, then you can just get your finger, put it back down, and compress it back down. I can feel the outside is a little stiff, so I'm just gonna add more water. I'm gonna really push in. Yep, I can feel there are already air bubbles in this. There's resistance to where when you're pulling it, the piece is spinning, and if everything is consistent, then you won't notice a difference, but it's kind of like a road bump. You'll just come across and feel a bump in the clay, and that's your sign. Either there's something in the clay or it's an air bubble. Most time, you would hope it's an air bubble because in the past, like just imagine something like this was stuck in clay, but it could be pieces of metal, anything that's left on the table that's not clay, you'll find later. So you want to try and keep your work area as clean as possible so that nothing non-clay gets incorporated into the clay itself.
I found that I get rid of a lot of my bubbles if I have any, by pointing up and down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that does.
Okay, so I'm
If you feel the bubble, can you remove it now?
you can pop it, but you would then have to work on filling it in. So when you pop it, you could, by you doing this, could compress it in and fill the hole. But it really just depends on how big it is, where it is. Does it make sense? So if you have an air bubble that's big, it's gonna be really hard to fill that in. But if it's like a little one, then you could just keep doing this and the clay will
Okay.
fill it in. Okay. And I'm adding lots of water. That can also be really dangerous. The wetter the clay is, the more flexible it is, and the less structurally sound it is, I'll say. Okay, now this is where I can feel it. Okay. Another thing you want to keep in mind is, like right now I have no idea what I'm making, but it's a good idea to know in advance what you want to do. If you want to make a bowl, then you do not want to throw too tall and have your walls too thin. You have to have enough space, or not enough space, enough thickness in the clay to let you expand, because as you expand, the walls will thin. The thinner it is, the wetter it is, the more, I can't think of the word, but flimsy, yeah, floppy, it's not going to support itself, and it will just collapse on itself. Okay, I'm going to try and do another pull. I'm really trying to get this clay down here at the bottom and pull it up. Okay, we'll call that done. Okay, and see, my hands are getting really, really messy. So it's getting all over myself, so don't wear anything too pretty. Okay, so this is where I would get this tool. I think it could be frowned upon. I'm just scraping away the excess clay that's at the bottom and throwing it there. Okay, so now I'm gonna get the sponge. So I'm gonna use the sponge to clean at the bottom, because when you're done throwing, there's like excess water sitting there. You do not want a puddle of water just sitting on the clay. So I'm just going to push down and clean it up. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Another thing you can do is you can get your hands and feel the thickness and kind of gauge. Like I can tell there's still a ton of clay here that I can pull. I guess I'll try and do it. But looking here, you can see, so let's just say the radius is this big, or circumference. I don't know, I'm not a geometrist. Diameter? Okay, we'll say the diameter is this big on the inside, and if the diameter is this big on the outside, that means there's that much clay just sitting here that can be pulled up into it. Because if you leave it down here, whenever you cut it off and trim it, you're going to want to trim this off because that's just weight sitting in the piece unnecessarily. So let me just go ahead and try and pull it one more time. Really dig in there. Oh, I think I messed up. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna call that done. Okay, so now I'm gonna clean up the rim. Gonna get my sponge again. Clean up the bottom. Okay, we'll just call it done like that. So the other thing you can do now is, like, I am in favor of texture. I think texture adds interest to the piece. You can add interest to your pieces all sorts of ways. You can do texture, you can do the glaze, you could do designs, whatever. But me, I like that. But I guess for demonstration, I'll show you. You could get your rib tool, and let's see, I think we'll do this, and you'll just bring it down, and then that just kind of skimmed away that much clay from the edge. I think I'll do it again. Okay, and there's it. So the outside is looking okay. And I guess the other thing I should show y'all is that in case your rim does mess up, if it's kind of mountainous, that will make issues with you throwing. What you can do is get your needle tool and you just spin it and dig into it. And once it's made its round, there you go. I'll just put that there. This. And clean up the rim. Guess I could use this. Oop, my sponge is way too old. It is disintegrating into, so that will be going in the trash. Okay. We'll just do that. Okay. So.
It's a nice flower.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make it a bowl though. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so what I do, once again, many people, you could use this, you could use that. I like doing the sponge. Is that you'll just pick a side and you'll put pressure. I don't think that's even. Okay. Now it's a pot. And that's a bowl. It's just. Guess what determines what it is the final shape it takes. Okay, so I could tell that's not completely. I don't know, can y'all tell that it's wonky now, that it's not completely centered? But when you stop it, you can't really tell. But what will cause problems is that if it's not if, like this isn't centered, so now the walls you can see kind of undulate. So now whenever if I decide to keep this, I'll cut it up, flip it, and then even that won't be centered. So it's just gonna cause more problems down the line. Okay. So now let me yeah, we're gonna call it done. There's no point in perfecting this as I perfected. Okay, really done. Okay, so now let's just say I'm done. I'm going to turn it off because while dismounting the wheel, if you accidentally push the power, that's going to ruin all of this. So, I'm going to come over here.
I think they're lifters or something.
Okay, we'll call them lifters. So you want to find your piece of wood so that your piece can have something to set on. Like I don't plan on working on this anymore today because I need to give it time to rest. So what you want to do is get a piece of plastic and put that down on the piece of wood. Because if I were to take this off and immediately put it on the wood will start absorbing the moisture and I no longer have control on the hydration of the clay. So, thank you, I did not bring one of those over. So I'll get my needle tool, bring it to the bottom, pull across. And I'll get these headphones. Here. And so then what I'll do is there.